I've heard that before. Who's that great singer? He's swinging.
Such a pity. It's such a shame. But the wheelers and dealers are hanging in tough and keeping an eye on the action.
Did you listen a lot to Carmen? The phrasing is a lot like Carmen.
Much later, actually.
Wheeling and dealing in various large and small games, lying and stealing and letting the chips just fall. They are signing and sealing and knowing the price of all things. And the value of nothing at all. Yeah, sure, it's little wonder we are insecure. Just open up your eyes. It's like a sweepstakes without a prize. But you know that the wheelers and dealers are doing their thing, telling us everything's rosy. Lord only knows what tomorrow may bring, but don't anybody get nosy. They're wheeling and dealing in various large and small things, lying and stealing and letting the chips just fall. Signing and sealing and knowing the price of all things, and the value of nothing at all.
I love that. Whoa,
and soon we'll all be zooming off to the moon.
How true.
Like pioneers we'll roll to find some peace up there and make a home. But the wheelers and dealers, they're getting there first, setting up shop in the craters to eat beyond hunger and drink beyond thirst, like unsatisfied yellow satyrs, wheeling and dealing in various large and small things,
The writer.
lying and stealing and
Wait, what?
letting the
the writer?
chips just fall.
The writer?
Fall.
Yeah.
That's
Signing and sealing and knowing the price.
Dave Frischberg.
Of all things and the value of nothing at all. The value of nothing at all. Value of nothing at
the last Brad Dudes thing. Wow, yes, John Leftwich, ladies and gentlemen, my special guest. Hi, John.
Hi, Cass.
The reason I played that was me, if those of you who didn't recognize me. That was one of my last records, Straight Ahead. And what happened with that record was a number of years ago, I went to England and recorded the band, and it sat on the shelf for various reasons. And then in recent years, we got it off the shelf and I brought it over to John and basically made John the co-producer and arranger because he has a personal recording studio there. And wow, we did so many things on this. That was so cool.
We fixed it up and sort of spiffed it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about that from a kind of a general point of view, because I really don't think a lot of people, people who do what you and I do, of course know how it happens. But a lot of people, especially people watching who, aren't used to going in studios or working together with producers, engineers, that kind of thing, don't really, they have no idea what goes into it. It's so much. And I would say that, I get ideas, but you really, it's almost like you're a painter and you get the whole painting, what could be the whole painting, and then you go about kind of filling it in, right?
I think that's a great analogy. Yeah. that so much of what we do as musicians, really, it's the same message that we're trying to give out because we're telling stories, right?
Yeah.
And we're expressing emotions and we're giving people this chance to internalize what we feel when we're writing the song or when we're singing it. So it's the same process. You think of a painter, how long some people, some painters put something on the easel and they start it and then it'll sit there for a couple of years and they'll go back, no, this needs to be finished. Or a novel, same thing. You'll get an idea for a novel and it'll be there, and then you go back, well, really this was a good idea, but let's finish it. And then you'll bring in an editor on the novel to and you go through several drafts. So it's the same process and the same eventuality, because you want the public, that's what I think we're here for, is to give the public something to internalize, and they can feel a love relationship. They can internalize what someone else went through in their love, or if it's a war, or through triumph and tragedy, all these different emotions, even though they're only 14, or even though they've settled in their life someplace, they can still experience what the artist can bring to them, and they can internalize that and feel what that is and process it. And that's what what's so great about what we get to do.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
bring,
Well, you're really good at it. I mean, this particular recording, I've told you this, but I just think it's probably one of the best, if not the best thing. The mixing, the engineering, the quality of it is so great. It's probably one of my favorites. And I just
thank
think
you. That's so sweet.
you and Mike, of course, Mike.
Mike Capitan.
Yeah,
is,
Mike Capitan is
yeah.
John's kind of partner in mixing and stuff, which is cool because they do it in different states.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, now
literally.
with technology, you're able to
Yeah.
share a computer and then listen to what the other person is doing exactly, and you're
Yeah.
he's able to move my computer around and the mouse.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's technology is really, as
Yeah.
what his great saying is we love technology, then ... most of the time. It's when
Yeah.
little things go wrong that you're tearing your hair out. But yeah, we can
So
do
true.
all this amazing stuff now.
Yeah. And not to mention your playing is so great. I think that was you. Didn't we plug you
Yeah.
into that song? Yeah.
Mhm.
And so here's what happened. What happened was in England, the engineer, his studio setup wasn't really great. And by that, I mean, a lot of it was in the same room. So any kind of sound problems couldn't be fixed. Normally, you have some isolation with instruments and vocal, so you can fix it later. And he didn't really do that. And so John really, it was harder than starting from scratch, right?
It was, yeah. But they do that all the time with great projects where they go back, especially a live project.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a live concert and there's some little issue, they'll be able to go in with all these tools now and fix some small thing. So
Yeah.
it's part of what we can do if we need to. We can go in.
Yeah.
If there's a soul there, if there's something really great that we want to, and there was.
There was. The band was the drummer, right? We didn't really fix the drums, except we added some percussion, Brad Dudes. We added Carrie Frank on B3, which that he took a solo on that, which was swinging, totally great. We added one keyboard, maybe Osama, and we added Cathy, right, on one of the songs on sax. That was another thing. This project actually was originally paid for by a soprano sax player, a friend of mine, Andy McIntosh. So, he was kind of a highlight for it as well. But again, because of how everybody was placed together, it was couldn't tune him without affecting the trumpet because they were both on the same track.
Together. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really kind of like fixing a puzzle, and but I just love the project. It's so much fun. So great.
And it was so great to spend time with you too. We got
Oh yeah.
we had a blast.
I know. John and I go way back. And
I think we first met with Wayne Johnson, right? We did a gig with Wayne Johnson.
Probably, yeah. And that was, let's see, it had to be
early 80s.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, early 80s. And I was married to Gus. Yeah. Yeah.
And he had his guitar hooked up to a big Oberheim Poly 8 or something. And I had a bass synth, and we did some concert someplace, just the three of us.
Wow.
with all these synths, but they're controlled by guitars. Bass guitar and a wild setup.
Yeah, those were the fun days. I mean, they were all fun days, but those were fun because kind of anything went, right? It's like Yeah, let's try this. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that technology again was taking off in a different direction. We were sort of exploring.
Yeah.
Was that at the Comeback Inn that we played? I can't remember
Could
where
have
we did it.
been.
Yeah,
I don't remember that gig, so it could have been the Comeback Inn.
I just remember for it, and I think it was at your place. We brought all this equipment over, and we just crowded this room. It was all equipment in this whole room, filled it.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, let's see. Wayne and I played a lot at the $2 bills.
That was probably it then.
Yeah. We also played at this. Hi, Mark Van Aken. We also played, and Mary
Hi, Mark.
Bogue. Hi, Mary, and Norma Jean. Hello. We also played. He and I think it was just a duo, but we played at this really fun gay bar in Ocean Park. And actually, that was when he was playing with the Manhattan Transfer, and Lauren was still with the group instead of Cheryl Benteen. So Lauren would come in and sit in, and oh my God, the gay guys would just flip out over Lauren. It was really cute. But yeah, that was a while back too.
I got to play a few gigs with Manhattan Transfer with Wayne.
Oh, cool.
Blast. They did Birdland. Thump, bump.
That's a great tune.
It's great. Great group.
Classic.
Yeah.
So John, I think we've talked about this before, but it's hard to find a really good bio on you.
Oh, yeah. I've been keeping a low profile. I decided when we had our daughter, and I did spent so many years, just out there and traveling and doing a lot of stuff, that I just decided, and that was kind of the beginning of the digital age with the internet. And I just decided, I'm going to just keep a low profile and just to have a kind of try this a little more of a family life with not so out in the public, and just spending a lot of time with my daughter, which has been really great. Yeah.
Well, it worked fine, didn't it? Which I'm sure a lot of people are amazed at. It's like, wow, he just didn't put it out there, didn't promote himself like that in that way. I mean, you probably promoted yourself just by being on the gig, and having fun and doing the job, and right.
I've just, living in a place like LA with so many great, artists and great musicians to play with. And it's so inspiring to be here that I felt like, just so happy all the time. And then I got to live this other life, family life, being very close too. So sort of best of both worlds in some ways. Yeah. But I still, have been, pretty busy through this whole period. Just doing the same thing. I mean, one of my favorite artists I've been working with for 30 years now is Hubert Laws. So we get to do these amazing trips where we go. We went to South Africa and we played some concerts, and then Hubert and I both took a week and we went on a safari.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Moscow several times, and so it's just been a dream, come true. And because I used to listen to him when I was a teenager, on all those CTI records with Freddie Hubbard. And then just so we've been, we're very close, and just to be able to get to play with these people, and it's almost, I'm good. So I have been resting my laurels a little bit. My daughter is she's a junior this year in high school, and so
wow.
she'll be away to college in a couple of years. So at that point, I think I might ramp it up again and start doing more traveling and more, putting myself out there a little more.
Yeah, I would just like a really nice bio on you, even if you don't have a social media presence, because I mean, just I'm sure I know just a fraction of what you've done, and I've been your friend for a long time. But I mean, okay, so you definitely played with Rickie Lee Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, it started with me probably my first big gig was out of high school, and I played with this band, the Mark Allman Band. You remember them in the 70s?
No, I
They had a
don't.
hit called "The City."
Oh,
And,
okay.
no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go back to the city. Go,
Yeah.
go, go. So they were kind of like a jazz rock, pop band. Johnny Allman and John Mark were the sax player and the guitar player on the John Mayall Blues Breakers record.
Oh,
And
okay.
they formed their own group. And so I went on the road with them. And I was about 19 or 20, and that was kind of my first big gig. And then I was studying with this classical bass player in New York, my teacher, Bert Turetsky. And then his teacher was in Juilliard, and I had applied to Juilliard in Manhattan in school. And so anyway, I got into Juilliard, and this is in '76. And I went back there, and all the kids are there. The orchestra is out of tune, and it was the same as college. From being at Berkeley, it's like the kids have their heads down on the desks, and all the kids say, "God, what do you want to come to school here for? You're doing already what we want to do when we get out." 3 years, 4 years. So I kept on the road, and then. And I was working with all these I got to work with Eddie Jefferson and Richie Cole, and all these great gigs in the late '70s. And then
It was that when you worked with Chet Baker?
No, I finished up college in '82, and then I went on the road with Carmen.
Oh, okay. Carmen McRae, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Carmen from '82 to '86.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 4 years, and that was some of the best traveling. I mean, God, we just, Montreux and all these great festivals, the George Wein festivals. That was back when they had, the George Wein festivals and, all over the world.
Who was the band with you at that time?
Well, several different bands. Alan Broadbent was there, George Gaffney, Marshall Otwell, several great drummers.
Police, right? Mark Police, maybe?
Police. But then directly after that was when I worked with Chet in '86, starting '86 for a couple of years on and off. And we did this film, Let's Get Lost. And we did gigs in Europe and, the States, New York. And recording a lot of that. And they're actually going to re-release that film. It's been released, but they're going to do another re-release. I think this.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do we see you in it?
Oh yeah, I'm in the film, and then I wrote a bunch of the cues for the film.
Oh, really?
That's this cool relationship with the director, Bruce Weber, and then.
Really? Oh, it's Bruce Weber.
Bruce Weber, he's directed that. So, and then, in fact, I'm just working now on a documentary about an Italian photographer, Paolo Di Paolo, and that's going to be finished next week. I've just been written a couple keys for him for that. So,
cool.
But anyway, then after that, with Chet was Sergio Mendez in '88. Worked with him for a couple of years. That was a blast. Got to go to Brazil a lot.
Oh, that's when Kevin Latow was in it at that time, right? Yeah.
An old dear friend from San Diego days, and Peter Sprague. We had a band together all these years. So we got to go all over the world. Same thing. It's great. Loved it. I was a bachelor, just being. You get to a new city, and this feeling. You get to a new city, and you just walk around. Yeah. All just exploring.
Yeah.
And meeting people, and it's just a great thing.
Yeah.
That was always my dream when I was in high school. It's like I always wanted to do some sort of art and then go to other countries and learn about other people's art and participate. So it's funny how it all worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. We really create our realities, don't we?
Some of us are lucky, and then others of us. This is such a tough time now with Afghanistan. And all.
Oh yeah, and how about New Orleans?
New Orleans. I mean, there's
I'm so heartbroken for them. I can't believe that they had this happen.
actually Rickie Lee's living in New Orleans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've just been in contact.
Is
It's
she
just,
okay?
yeah, but this was a couple weeks ago, and she's talking about maybe another tour,
Oh,
and she was thinking about me, which is great. I'd love to see her again and play with her again. But I hope she's okay, because I think that whole, you know, most people just left the state. Yeah.
I kind of was dreaming about it this morning, like thinking, how could I help? I don't have enough money to go there and to, create something like Sean Penn created on Katrina. I mean, I have to hand it to him. I mean, that was so amazing what he did. But,
Yeah.
I just wondered, do they have like a volunteer line? I mean, can you call hotels and ask if the hotel chain will put up people? Or I don't know. I just woke up thinking about that. It's just heartbreaking, man. Especially already having gone through it. And now again, a lot of people are underwater and, oh, geez.
Well, I think FEMA really didn't respond as well, and they had a lot of criticism for the last one. But I think I just heard that they've sent something like, 2,000 or 3,000 FEMA workers down there with the ability to make things happen. So that's really, we're really fortunate to have, as many problems as there are in our government. We're really fortunate to have this sort of system where it's just, immediate help and, our tax dollars, doing good things and helping people when they need it.
That's very nice.
Yeah, hopefully, that will happen much quicker this time.
Yeah, that's nice. It's very positive of you, John.
Well,
thank you. It's nice to hear positivity for a change. Hey, I just wanted to share this with you. I don't know if I ever showed you this, but this song was actually about it was about being on the road.
Oh, yeah. Where stress will fall away, just living everyone's own song. I wake up. Beautiful.
I like the bridge.
As the day moves on, it takes an era of color as I paint the canvas for yes, tone and rhythm added. Yes, I remember the days like we'd be on the road, say with Rickie Lee.
Yeah.
And we'd have played the concert the night before. We get on a bus, and they have a bus that seats about, there's bunks. So I think we're 11 of us in the band. Oh. And I got to be the music director. I got to choose the musicians and rehearse them and everything. So it's like a big party, really. Your best friends, and you get to go travel together and play music. It's just a dream. And then, so we'd be traveling all night. And we do this in the States and Europe too. And then you'd get to a hotel in the morning, and you'd wake up, you'd file into the hotel, and you go to your bed, and you'd sleep a little more. And then I'd get up at around 10 or so, and I'd go jogging around the city. And I'd get a map maybe from the hotel.
Yeah.
And does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'd run all over, and I'd find, I'd meet people. I'd say, well, what's good here? So I'd find maybe there's a museum with a show or something, or I'd go to the park and, see what's going on at the park. Is there a concert down there? Is there, and then I'd come back, and we'd have a sound check at about 2. And then they'd have a little time, and so I'd maybe go back to some place, and then you'd have dinner at 6, and then the show at 7:30, and play. And then afterwards, you get back on the bus, and we have video games, or we used to watch videos of like what's that? The Simpsons, or we'd have the bus of we'd listen to all this musician stuff like Buddy Rich bus tape. Did you ever hear about that?
Yes. Oh my God. That tape, I had heard about it and then I heard it. Wow. That was a hairy friggin' tape, man.
For the people that don't know, it's about Buddy Rich, you know, berating the band and
On the bus.
tell how terrible they are and how ugly they are, and they better get together or they're going to be fired. So it was just comical that you're there on the bus and you're like, that's how it could be. This is how we got it.
Oh God. That's so true. Wow. Well, gosh. Yeah, there's speaking of Rickie Lee, I'm so glad that Rickie Lee is still doing stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe the last thing I heard her do was that Billy Childs, Laura Nero thing. Did you?
Oh, yeah,
You heard that, right?
Yeah.
The Been on a Train.
Yes.
I just about died when I heard that start. Of course, you knew it immediately. It was Rickie Lee Jones, and she was so, she was jazzy, I mean, oh God, that was a really great thing.
Yeah. Rickie was, her father was an amateur musician, but really good.
Yeah.
And, from a young age, and she's from, I think she's from Washington, but she had that kind of soul of, it's poignant that she ended up in New Orleans because she has that kind of soul, that Southern, and I know she was influenced by Billie Holiday a lot. But she really sings personal songs. It goes back to this, looking at your lyric, it goes back to writing in high school. I was a journalist. I thought I would be a writer. So I was editor of my school newspaper. And all the time growing up, I had, articles. I used to write articles for the paper, like an ongoing column. And there's something about this journalistic habit that you put down thoughts and you have this story and emotion that you're expressing to people. And that's exactly what you're doing in your songs, and what writers do, and filmmakers, painters. So that's and she was great at that too. From a young age, she was writing keeping a notebook, and that's what Taylor Swift does so well. She's different style of music, but very personal, and so it was great to work with her, and got to produce a couple of records with her and work on some of the songs with her, co-write. And it's just she just had a beautiful sensibility about putting her feelings and her life into song, and then being able to share that with other people. It's just a great thing to do.
Yeah.
But, regardless of how successful you are at it, my daughter used to write songs. I would write songs and we'd perform that at a Christmas concert. I mean, everybody can do this. Everybody watching this can experience that process and that joy to share what your innermost feelings and your story with other people. It's just one of the great things to do. And it doesn't have to be big time or, in part of the industry. It can be really on a just a local level. And it feels just as great, at that level as it does on the big level.
Well, it's interesting because I think that, what you just touched on too was, so why do people stop themselves? And it's a perspective that people have that they're not good enough to whatever, share it, or, it's not as good as Rickie Lee Jones's stuff, or whatever. Yeah, and that's one reason I appreciate you so much, because not only are you super high quality musician, but you also have that other side of you that's that's like very open and inviting. Come on, just write something. Just what you said. Write something for yourself. Share it with your friend, or it's a gentle. It's a gentle. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it's gentle. Let's leave it at that. And it's very great. And that's part of why I like you as a person, because you have all that.
Well, it's inspiring. I'm trying to think, who was it? Jackson Brown had a beautiful program that he introduced, or that he was helping fund or heading, and it was bringing writing to schools and programs, so that he would, encourage school kids to, write about their feelings and their experiences and put them into a song. And why would Jackson Brown, super successful,
Yeah.
great artist, do that? Because it's just such a gift to yourself to express. And it's something that we need so much, in our society. We need more of. We need this sharing of and understanding each other on that level, rather than at the moment we have, such a discourse that's so polarized and intense at times. That
Exhausting.
we need to get back to those innermost and common experiences that we can relate on, and then you just have so much more empathy, and it feels good also from just the giving side to put it out there. Now, I understand what you're saying. It's easy to, and Kevin Letow was, we were so close for so many years. It was tough it's tough for you, Kath, being a singer, because you're out there on the front line, and if people don't listen, it's a killer to put yourself out there and get up and sing in front of people and offer your art, and then people are dismissive, or they don't accept it. And so it's both euphoric and it's tragic. Because you see, that not everyone is going to be touched in the same way, and it's not for the faint of heart. That's our life is any artist's life is not for the faint of heart. You have to have that drive and that vision of the possibilities, and put it out there, and believe that somebody is going to be affected by it and will respond, and that this cycle will become complete, and that it was worthwhile.
Wow. Very well put.
Right. Well,
see, for being very tired, you said that so well.
Yeah, I was telling Cathy that for this interview, I've been working on cues for the last 3, and I've been up most of the night, so I'm a little not quite as sharp as I usually am. But
actually, that was very deep.
Well, or is this true, Kath? I mean, you of all people, you've been making these beautiful albums, and you put them out, and it's a digital age, and you're unsure of how it's going to go over, and where it's going to lead. And you have to, I think, if you're an artist, you have to have faith that what you're doing is going to touch someone, and that even if it just touches a few people, that will be worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
absolutely.
you wouldn't do it.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you and I can think of 1 billion people that we know who are going through that every single day.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very, very true. And bravery also. I mean, I think of, because the one thing that stands between, like, for instance, some students that I would have who are wonderful. I enjoy, I have to tell you, when I am in a workshop and I hear the students really working on their stuff, I just love it. I love it because it's creating that exactly what you're talking about. They're actually bringing it up out of themselves.
I think it opens a person up, right? They
Yeah,
open
yeah.
themselves up, and they're not holding back. They're opening up to you, and then they can in turn be open to you. It's just another form of communication that
I'm
we
right.
again that we so much need at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, but bravery. I was just going to say, you know, the
Or
line.
stupidity or foolishness.
Well, you could put it that way too,
Or
but
you.
there is this line, somebody does this, right? Like on this side of the line, which is, let's say, the line is sharing with people, whatever that entails. And what makes them go past that line? And there's some kind of a bravery, a strength, that, and a desire. You mentioned, I don't know if the word was desire, but there's an urge, a longing that brings you over that line.
Well, I think we are, human beings are social animals. Like I used to think when I was, a high schooler, that I was thought had this thought, well, I can go. I really, want to get away from my parents and go just to a mountaintop someplace and with all my records and my books and art, and just go create somewhere on my own. And I thought that was kind of an ideal for a long time. But I found out that the best things that happened to me happened with other people and their influence on me, and this kind of openness, of being open and having this urge to share creativity rather than being kind of off on my own.
Yeah.
So I think it's just something that we need as people. We need to have this communal, and you go back to Aboriginal and African roots, and you see that there's this meeting and a tribal sharing of dance and music and art, and it's built into us. We need it. We
Yeah.
can't be off in some cabin someplace. It's part of what we require, and so we're taking part in something that's really vital, but that I think people they don't see it as that vital, necessarily. They think
Yeah.
food, clothing, and shelter, that's it. But no, the fourth thing is we do need a shared, empathetic art.
Communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to just keep going. And again, and then there's the last thing, the ultimate thing, which is, why are we here?
Ooh.
Where leading, what does
Yeah.
it mean? And that's another reason that people turn to art,
To touch
describe,
God, actually.
well, to describe the undescribable.
Yeah. Yeah.
What Bach said was all of his music it's to the glory of God that he wrote. Every note of what he does is to the glory of God. So there's some kind of infinite that we're trying to touch with art, and it's it's a struggle, but we need it, and everybody needs it, even if they think that they don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, I always feel like music is my connection to God, and you can call it whatever you want, but it's like a religion is something that you learn and you practice so that you can have this feeling of what we're describing. And so that's why I just consider music my religion. And I mean, I grew up with a little bit of religion, but I never kind of achieved that in a simple way that was consistent, except with music, and so Yeah, so I agree with you. I think that's for us in this particular form. That's why that's another reason why we do it, because it's satisfying in that way, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, Gary and I went to the immersive Van Gogh this week.
Oh, tell me about that.
Talk about placing you in that aesthetic universe, like
Mhm.
immediately. So it was in the old Amoeba building.
Mm.
So for those of you who don't know, the Amoeba Records was a very large building in Hollywood, and it had
It's
it
been
had
around-
yeah, it
around
had
for-
tons of records, like old records you could buy, great, things used. And then they moved. I don't know where they moved, down the street or something. Anyway, so I don't know. Talk about creating and following through with a creative idea. I would love to know the real story behind why who thought it, why they did it, whose money went into it. It was amazing.
to
So you
create
go
the-
in, yeah. So what it is you go and you stand or you sit in I think it's one of 3 rooms, and the rooms are really large. The ceiling's quite huge.
Mm.
And what they've done is digitally, they put his work into, whatever computer form. And so it's like you're inside the painting, because the painting is all the way from floor to ceiling, right? However, what they've done is they remove like let's say it was Starry Night, his famous Starry Night. So they take out all the stars. They might start with like the very basic thing that maybe he started off with, some drawings, and then add each part. And then also some of it is like live. So like if there's a river, they actually are making the river move.
Wow.
And the stars are like, and they're there, and then they go away, and then all of a sudden another painting flows in, or another piece of the painting flows in, and so you're in the middle of all this, and the music is really good.
Mm.
There's some kind of mixed variety of music. Edith Piaf was one, which was wonderful because it was very Parisian, and it was great. I mean, the kind of beginning to the end was about 40 minutes, but you could stay there as long as you want. And it was what I perceived of the audience. Oh, that was another thing. So you stood up, you sat on the floor. There were like just little cushion seats, ottomans kind of. And people were you really got the people were appreciating it and experiencing it, and all kinds of people. And that was what was kind of thrilling for me too. It was all kinds of people.
Mm.
And everybody was quiet and listening and watching and feeling it and applauding after certain long, kind of pieces were done. And it was truly a great experience.
Well, it sounds familiar in some ways to update what you did. Was, what is it, 100 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And to put art, literature, or some sort of storyline and music together. And, film, that's what's so great about film, is that it really puts the three categories of art together into one powerful statement.
Yeah.
To animate his film and, bring the fullest possible experience and the fullest possible, internalizing of his message.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense. And I, maybe that's a model for, other great art, is to keep doing that and animating it with music and with some storyline, create a script out of Starry Night.
Yeah.
Leading up to that.
Yeah. There were, before you entered into that room, there was, a little bit of history and that you could read and observe and stuff. But Yeah, I just totally, thoroughly loved it. And Gary did too. And Gary's not, he's not an artsy guy, let's say, he likes a little bit more kind of obvious stuff, like a good drummer will catch his attention, something like that. But but he was affected too. He really liked it. So it was very effective. And like I said, all kinds of people were there, which kind of thrilled me, just that fact alone,
Take my daughter too. Yeah.
Oh gosh, she would love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so somebody here, Norma Jean Garza, first of all, she said, you seem to be a very kind and patient human and musician, and she'd love to hear your work. So, do you, I don't even know. Do you have?
There's a new record out that I play, their new Melody Gardot record.
Oh yeah.
Which is it's a beautiful record, Sunset Blue, and and that's a gorgeous record. And she's just you know her singing, it's just lovely. And she is also someone who writes about her own personal experience. And she's been writing with Jesse Harris. You remember Jesse Harris?
Yeah.
Don't Know Why.
Oh yeah.
Who have no
right. That's why I know his name. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're writing together now, and we did this session actually last year, right before the pandemic in February. And it was a great, it was at Capitol, with a lot of great.
Oh yeah. I remember that period. Yeah.
And, and then they were going to do the string arrangements over in London.
Yeah.
And it got postponed. And so the single from the album was called From Paris with Love. Did you hear the story?
No, go ahead.
So she put out a video.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Okay, go ahead.
Look, we were in a pandemic. We want to finish this. If anyone all over the world wants to add a violin part or a cello part or harp, here are the parts. Here's the song. Record your part, send it in. If we use it, we'll pay you. And so they did it. They finished this beautiful song, and Vince Mendoza did the string arrangements. Gorgeous.
Oh, gosh.
And so she did the video, and you can see the video, and she has little clips of all these people all over the world who played violin or something. The title is From Paris with Love. Well, then they'll hold up a sign saying, okay, from Hong Kong with love, from, from Santa Barbara with love, from Rome with love. And all of these people all over the world, different languages, different countries, different situations, all come together to make this song happen. And it's just, on so many levels, it was such a great model for what we do, and to her credit, she's Melody is just, it was just a great thing to be part of.
Let's watch a little bit of it. They won't take me down if I watch under a minute. So,
okay.
So let's just see a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Maybe in the middle somewhere, or not at the beginning, if I'm only playing a minute.
Sure, anyway.
Right?
Drink to life as if there is no end. Maybe one day I will see you. Maybe one day I will see you soon. With love, my love, a kiss beneath the moon. River waken to the morning light, lazy boats around the bend,
Oh man.
shimmers once or twice.
We definitely have to watch the whole thing, ladies and gentlemen. That's really beautiful.
Is that not just the model for bringing the world together? It's and understanding each other. It's just knocks me out.
Yeah,
So that's
really
one of
beautiful.
the great things to be part of. But yeah, in answer to your question, I did kind of a solo record with my buddy in Rio, Ricardo Silveira. He came
Oh
up,
yeah.
and half the tunes are his, half the tunes are mine, and we did it. And Hubert Laws played on that also.
Is that something we can take a listen to a little bit, or?
I don't have anything set up, but it's on the web. It's called. Let me see.
Is it on Spotify or no?
Yeah, there's something called. Yeah, it's called Get Together. It's a song. Maybe try Get Together.
And is it under your name?
Yeah. From the album, it's called Cosmo.
Yeah.
Cosmo.
Yeah. So we can hear a little bit of this too. Let's see. I'm going to show you my screen.
But I have a bunch of films I've scored. We can talk about that too right after this.
Yeah. Which song should we do just a little bit of?
Get Together is good.
Okay. Great.
That's my song.
Sounds great. I don't think I've heard this yet, John.
Oh, I'll give you a copy. I love the album. And it's the great Hubert Laws. Let me see a bit there. Sing along, Cat.
Oh, beautiful mix.
And then wait just a little longer. Hubert takes a great solo here.
Okay, I can't. I'm not going to play too much because I don't want people to take me down. But that's another thing that you guys can go hear. That was beautiful. Beautiful cover, by the way.
Yeah, but of my films, I mean, I've done. After I working with Rickie Lee, I worked with Lyle Lovett for a while, and I did a couple with him, and then I started getting a bunch of film work. So I was in. Like The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie, I wrote some cues for, and, a Billy Baldwin movie, detective movie, The Cooler, Mark Isham. But one of the films I'm most proud of is called Blood Done Sign My Name. And it's from a best-selling novel about a Black Vietnam vet who comes home and he's killed in the South of because there was a thought that he was being too friendly with a white woman, kind of similar to Plot to Kill a Mockingbird. Blood Done Sign My Name. That's an important film, and for the civil rights community, and the score is great. I get to use a live orchestra, and so. But I love that, and I've done a bunch of course, the Chet Baker film "Let's Get Lost."
Yeah,
I wrote some of the music in that.
You did a lot of. I mean, we're looking at allmusic.com, which is a cool.
There's a brand new film that's just coming out. It's called 10 Tricks, and it's with Leah Thompson, and it just won the best feature in the Beverly Hills Film Festival just a couple months ago. So it's just about to be released, we hope. And there's another great project I was part of for Bruce Weber a film called Nice Girls Don't Stay for Breakfast. It's a documentary about the actor Robert Mitchum.
Oh,
And I'd scored that film, and that premiered in Venice. That was really fun to get to go to Venice and go to the premiere.
yeah.
So yeah, I've been busy. I'm just not putting, my press out there so much.
Okay, now a little known fact is that John Leftwich sings, and he's had singing has been part of his life and career. But we never think about you as a singer. I mean, now, but tell us about your singing over your life.
Well, I started when I was 8 years old in the choir, and I was playing clarinet too in the school band. And then I started a rock band, and then the Beatles came out when I was about 12. And
were you playing bass then?
No, I was playing guitar and organ, kind of.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I was singing mostly. So I had a band, a rock band, and we played dances and parties, and I was the singer. And that went on pretty much through high school. And then when I heard, like you did, Miles and Coltrane, it really, so then I really got into instrumental music. But I've always been a singer. So when I worked with Rickie Lee, I was the singer, behind her. We did a lot of, vocals together. And then Lyle Lovett, same thing. I was singing. And then for the last 15 years or so, I've been working with the first concert I went to was a Tree Dog Night. And I think it was Elvin Bishop opening up. I was about 14. And you had 3 lead singers up in front singing. It basically like a doo-wop, but in front of a rock band.
Huh.
And it was just always left a great experience. So anyway, I got to start working with Chuck Negron, the lead singer from that, about 15 years ago. And so I sing the bottom part and all those songs, Celebrate, Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog, all those great old hits. So that was really great to go out and do a show, and you're singing the whole show. So I still get to experience that. And then I got to work with Blood, Sweat and Tears, like all the music of my youth that I, just loved. So I wish there was more opportunity to sing. I still love singing, Christmas songs or, anything in a group. It always feels natural to be a singer.
That's cool.
It just makes you happy, right?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, singing is, it's the closest you can get to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to see the drummer from Chicago. What's his name?
Well,
I forget his name. The main drummer,
not sure who's currently, but it was
who was the old guy, I think. Let's see. Chicago music group.
I'm not sure he's with them anymore.
Let's see. Okay, it was Danny Seraphin.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? That's correct, right?
Yeah.
So, it was recently actually. And it was funny because you can relate to this, a bunch of the drummers who have been in that scene forever, like Greg Bissonette and et cetera, they were all there. It was kind of a celebration. It might have even been a birthday celebration. It was the first time back, kind of in the pandemic thing. It was over at the Canyon Club.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was Robbie.
We played the Chuck Negron. It's a great, rock.
It's a fun room.
Yeah.
Is it Robbie Krieger, the guitar player? Yeah. So he came and sat in. It was really, it was kind of it was a gig, but it was also kind of a jam.
Yeah.
It was great. But anyway, I was really, if you asked me what rock songs I liked, I would not come up with Chicago. But when I heard them, the song, I was like, oh yeah, I always liked that song, And the 2 singers were really perfect. They were great. They were just, maybe one of the singers had been in the group for a long time. I don't know the whole story, but it was great. It was really great to hear, especially that style, I think is.
Well, that's what's so great about, Chicago, Blood, Sweat and Tears, and I got to play with them, that they have this horn section, and it's kind of fusing that, jazz and Motown and, rock together to have this, great full sound. Just like the record you played at the top of this, it's just a full, it just makes you smile when you hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. Really fills you up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just great. Yeah. Did you see The Summer of Soul?
Yes. And I love that film. Oh my God.
Wasn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That kind of really reminds me of that too.
Yeah. It really explains, well, it goes to what we were talking about before with art sort of reaching for, what are we here for? What's the big questions in life? And that film really sort of answers some of those questions, which is incredible for an animated film.
Oh, wait, I didn't see the animated version. The Summer of Soul?
Oh, no. Just the movie Soul.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Soul was great too, though. That was a great film.
Yeah, I did see Summer of Soul. And yeah, it was good. It was, similar, like it was sort of a Woodstock idea up in Harlem, right? Yeah, with all those groups playing. Yeah, we enjoyed that film too. But the movie Just Soul, the animated film, is about a jazz piano player and what he thinks, makes him happy. And
right.
And it's something for us as musicians to consider, because here he's always thinking, well, it's it's the next gig. It's it's like playing with Coltrane or playing with Lyle, and he finds out that the secret to life is something as simple as holding a falling leaf in your hand and just experiencing life. That's what I got out of it anyway. It just it was just a real revelation, that film. And here it is. It's a kid kind of by Disney, I think, or Pixar, and it's marketed to kids, I guess. But it spoke so much to me. Yeah.
I think a lot of those films nowadays are marketed to both adults and film and kids, because I don't know.
This one sure
Soul was wonderful. Yeah, another movie that was like that was WALL-E. Remember that movie with the little computer? Yeah, I thought that had a lot of messages for everybody,
Yeah, little robot.
Yeah, and the music. They used Peter Gabriel in it,
Yes.
Yeah. On my new record, I'm doing Down to Earth, which is like kind of the theme for that. Yeah, really nice.
Beautiful song.
Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking at little messages. Norma Jean is really having fun with this. She said, John has to be top notch, dying to hear him now. I love harmony. And she wants to hear your singing voice.
Well, I did a mean Robert Plant Zeppelin in my rock band. Baby, baby.
Oh, yeah, man.
But I love Hendrix too. Oh my God, Hendrix.
Oh God, yeah.
Santana. That was the music of my youth.
Yeah.
And, but then you discover, Miles Davis and that voice that he had with that Harmon mute. It's, it's, and Coltrane too. They still both. I still listen both to them constantly, and they're still, an inspiration for me. And I've recently, I really watched this latest Coltrane. I think.
Catching the
Catching the Train.
Yeah.
And I keep understanding so much more about him, that he was raised in a religious household, and that I think his father was a preacher, or his grandfather was a preacher, and it's so evident when you hear him playing that he's giving a sermon, that it's about describing the infinite. It's about a relationship with with God or a creator or something. And it's so powerful listening to it that
It's really powerful. Yeah.
it's still inspiring to me.
That movie left me, especially with with his his road that he traveled. You know, as we all do, basically, kind of live different lifetimes in one lifetime. You know, this period and then this period, and where he ended up, which was so. I felt. Now I don't know if they said this in the movie or I just picked it up, but I felt like there was no other place to go. Although I did say this to somebody else and they disagreed with me, but it was like here, and then here. And the last part was so connected to what you were just talking about. It was so connected to God. I feel like there was just no more to do. He just did it. And then the next step was, okay, now I am going to be connected to God. Now I'm going to die and be there, you know.
Well, he done Love Supreme, and his family was so euphoric, you know, such a beautiful family, and
Yeah.
his kids, and you could see that he just was so relaxed. And then he did, you know, I mean, I love all his music. I love the early Crescent, some great. He did Love Supreme. It just, you're right. He had arrived someplace, essential. Ascending, and then he did one final tour, I guess, in Japan to the shrine for nuclear victims.
Hiroshima.
Hiroshima, it's just such a beautiful, put roses there, and I mean, just you're right. It couldn't get more poignant and just beautiful, really. Just joyous in and then his disease. But I feel if it hadn't been for him getting sick, that he could have had a lot more to show us. He's just musically and spiritually. I
have a little surprise for you. Let's see.
Oh. I don't know what kind of surprise.
Well, let's see. Dan enlighten me to this. Let's see. Dan, I'm starting where you said, but I don't see what I'm looking for, but I think it's, oh my gosh.
Carefully hidden as I've wanted it to be. Oh boy. Oh yeah. This is good.
Doesn't want anything here. Forever demanding to know who, what, and why, and where. Questions and sometimes the questions get wild. Like, Mama, can I have that big elephant over there? Don't wanna comb my hair. Wear my
now he said at 58 you were singing, so that's why I was looking for. He said around here, but I didn't see you singing there.
I think this is the Tonight Show.
You think it's what?
I think it's the Tonight Show.
Yeah, I think it is. But you were singing background, right?
Yeah. Or sing with her.
Yeah.
And background. No, she was very gracious in inviting me to sing. And I cherish all these.
Interesting about her. I remember her the way she sang, her lyrics or her pronunciation was very unusual, and not just on that song. Because that song,
in a way, right?
Say that again.
Because her father was a folk singer and it did kind of in its Southern style. So I think she comes from that, a bluesy Delta
pronunciation,
jazz influenced, this, and it's such a unique, beautiful style that she
Yeah.
happened on, and I think largely due to her father's influence. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was a big Van Morrison fan. Big Van
Yeah.
Morrison.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. That was the Dennis Miller show.
Oh, okay.
And Norma Jean said, I've never understood her voice. How can she pull it off? Is her voice good, or is she so gifted that she pulls it off? She blew her away. She saw her in Austin. But yeah, I mean, she's an artist. Actually, you and I have talked about this, John, that she is really an artist.
Well, that she, and Joni, well, like she gets compared to Joni Mitchell. Like, she won't want me doing that, but she is an artist. Is she? Because she's, it's this idea of, as you're an artist also, is that you're putting, you're writing these thoughts on paper and you're putting them to music and then communicating them. And, Rickie, in a lot of ways, she uses her voice as a saxophone, as an instrument,
Yeah.
So it's sometimes the voice is not so spoken or intelligible that way. It's more of an instrument,
Yeah.
a melody,
Yeah.
a saxophone. So,
Yeah.
and that's what's so great about her is that she's able to pull that off and blur the line between the two.
Yeah. You don't mind, I'm sure. I think I'm just going to look for something. I would like to just play a little tiny bit of let's see if it's on Spotify, of Been on a Train,
Oh, I took the trip on a train and I thought about you.
No, this, the Laura Nero thing.
Oh, yes.
Let's see.
With Rickie, yes.
Where did that have? I just had it for a second. Here we go. Been on a train. Just to show you guys, I don't know if it starts right off, but this is the Billy Child beautiful recording. So just listen to what she sounds like here.
Been on a train, baby. Did you hear the whistle blow? Been on a train north, baby. Did you hear the whistle blow? I saw a man take a needle full of hard drugs and die slow.
Yeah, if you are not familiar with this record, you really need to get it, because this record is incredible. Billy Childs, who's going to be on the show, actually. He just, wow. I mean, who's not a Laura Nero fan, but Billy just shows the people to sing too, who wonderful.
Rickie was also a big Miles Davis fan. And on that, I was hearing some Miles phrasing, if he was playing his harmony.
Yeah.
It's a very personal, just, almost with the least amount of effort, but the most emotion. And she's definitely out there taking a chance, but Miles did too, Miles is not like other trumpet players. He had that intimacy about his playing that spoke. It just took one note.
I know.
Chick Corea tells a great story about, there's a great interview about, he was 18, he's going to Columbia, New York, his parents had sent him to school. He goes to the Village Vanguard, and he's a piano player, and he's, really talented, but he's, his parents want him to go to college. So he goes, and in the Vanguard, the Village Vanguard, they have this one section that you can go where you're not drinking, but you can stand, and it's for, you know, students and kids with not much money. So he goes there, and he's got the glasses, and one of the glasses is the horn rim, and it's got a cracked frame with you know, tape on it. I mean, he's just a kid. And he goes, and he describes it. He says, okay, first out walks Philly Joe, and then there's Paul Chambers with his bass, and then Coltrane walks out, and he's got his sax, and they send up, you know, he's got his sax on his arm, and then Wynton Kelly comes out with a little top hat and a drink, you know, and a cigarette, and he sits up the piano, and then there's kind of a long time they're waiting, and they're just no one's moving, and then Miles kind of saunters up on the stage and puts his harmony mute on, and right up next to the microphone, like on the microphone, and they do Autumn Leaves. He says, and that was it. He says he went home that night. He called his parents. He says, you know, this is not going to work out with me going to college. I think I got to do this. I got to be a musician. And it's something that hits you about Miles, about his, I only got to meet him one time. I got to sit at a table with him. Just a beautiful man. But his emotion is just there for you. It's all out in front, right there. And it's just powerful to hear. And you hear I got to play with Freddie Hubbard for a long time, to be in his band also, who I love in a completely different way. But Freddie's, you know, all about power, and he plays Intrepid Fox. He plays these great tunes. He plays great ballads. But Miles he's not, the technique is not letting it get in the way of this humanity and this. He's displaying his openness and his tenderness, especially through his ballads. And it's just, you know, it's just emotional to hear him. So yeah, it was emotional also to hear Rickie sing that song. You know, it's a very tender, open kind of place where she's not supporting, you know, her voice that way. It's not it's not about
technique at all.
She's not projecting. She's just being there and letting this message come out and this emotion come out.
And it's so raw. And the space, which is what Miles was using space. You know, I always tell my students, space is not nothing. It's actually something, and it's there. And
silence.
when you use space, or when space is part of the whole woof and warp of the thing, you know, it's immediate. It's just like what you just described.
It hits you.
Hearing. Yep. You know, it's like, you know.
We are.
Oh my God.
We've arrived.
I mean, Shirley Horn uses space in a different way, but similar, but because she's using lyrics and, you know, but I mean, when I was in my music room and all alone, I was listening to her sing, in the dark. In the dark. That was literally how long I waited for her second line. And I started blushing, just sitting there, because I couldn't help but think what was happening in the dark. Well, I mean, I never expected that. I didn't expect myself to do that. You know, I wasn't listening for that. I wasn't listening for an experience. I was just listening. But that space is, it is kind of sensuous, isn't it? Like when Rickie stops singing, you know, been on a train. All that space is sensuous. And Miles, same thing. It's just, wow.
You know, it's interesting that you bring up this idea of space, and Shirley Horn, we're using one of her songs in this new Paulo de Paula movie, Here's to Life.
Yeah.
And she used to come with Carmen. We used to play at what was the club? It's in DC, and she lived in, she raised a family in DC.
Yeah.
Shirley Horn. And so she wasn't singing really. She would do local gigs, but she was, basically raising kids. So she would come to the show with Carmen, and you can see that she resumed her career after, in some ways, I think of myself as doing the same thing. She resumed her career after raising her kids. And then I think she took that experience of family and then put it into her music. And that's partly why those experiences we have shape what our art is,
Yeah.
And that's just as much part of the art, the experience of the life experiences we have as having an idea about, okay, let's phrase it this way, or let's have this kind of a lyric, it's part of the art. Is the experience of that we bring.
Yeah. I was,
and that's a beautiful song, by the way, that she sings. Here's to Life. We put it right, because this photographer Paulo de Paula was 94 years old when this film was shot, and they play it at the end of the film, and it's all about the celebration of life. And that's such a great, first off, Johnny Mandel did just this awesome arrangement, and I had a conversation with Johnny about it.
Me too, actually.
You did?
Yeah.
About that song?
Yeah, about the recording of it, how he let her and her trio play it first, or that whole record, I think. And then he took out of that, he built the arrangements.
So the first thing he did is that he transcribed every single note that they had played.
Yeah.
And then he starts to arrange, and I've always, I just love his arranging, and I've always tried to take this lesson to heart.
Yeah.
But he uses, the voicing on the piano and the bass to shape what the arrangement is. So he'll have the horns, he'll double sometimes the bass line, and but he uses every single element that's there to shape what the arrangement's about. And they actually they did the same thing on this new Melody Gardot record.
Oh.
That the tracks that we did as basics, then the arrangement's shaped around what's there rather than the other way around.
That's really nice. Do you know the story about Amoroso?
Yes. Cogerman did the same thing.
He did the same thing. Joao played, which was interesting because Joao didn't play like on the 1 and the 3, or he played.
He played with drums. Joe Brancato was playing drums.
Joe Carrero.
Oh, was it Joe Herrera?
Joe Carrero, yeah.
Carrero, okay. Joe Carrero was playing drums, but just kind of a little hi-hat groove.
Oh, okay.
It just very softly, and then Joao was singing, and then he'd let the phrase kind of linger longer. Yeah, like he did that on It's Wonderful. On that
oh
album.
Yeah.
and the phrase would go on for an extra 2 beats or 6 beats longer than it should, all those kinds of, but Klaus, and that's one of my favorite records of all time also.
Yeah.
Klaus would use all that, they didn't try to edit, he just did it all. And what a glorious record that is.
That would have been a really great fly on the wall kind of thing, wouldn't it? See how, just be there while he was creating. It would have been really fun. Yeah.
No, and that's how that's how I feel about being part of Melody's project. It's just, it's just great to be part of all this beautiful art going on.
Yeah. Let's see, like John and I have played a bunch of gigs together too, but we did one. I wish I knew. I'm sure I saved it, but so John does commercials. So he calls me up and he says, "I think you'd be perfect for this commercial." So I come in and I sing "It's June and January," right, which is an old standard, and then he called me and he said, "No, they're picking somebody else." So I don't know how long it was later, a year and a half, 2 years later, you called me up and you said, "Hey, I think you'd be perfect on the song." Anyway, I came back and it was the same song and I turned out to be perfect. Yeah. And that was a really fun commercial for me. It was a Toyota commercial. These kids borrowed their mother's Toyota for
Volvo.
Oh, Volvo, right. It was a Volvo. And it was, for the Florida vacation time. So they have their Volvo. Yeah, and you hear "It's June in January," and
You killed it.
And that was a really fun commercial.
Yeah.
And then also recently, one thing we did, which was so lovely. So our friend guitarist Barry Zweig passed away right at the beginning of the pandemic, and so I pretty quickly wrote a song about him, and then I showed it to John, and we might have, maybe we had just finished Straight Ahead from the UK. I can't remember, but anyway, so John and Pat Kelly on guitar, and we actually did a studio version of that song, and it was great. It was so sweet and nice, and yeah, that was just that was like what we were talking about early on. It was something special, and it was really, for me, it was just writing a song about Barry, and then you took it and we developed it, and all of the three of us were very good friends with Barry, so that was really nice too.
Yeah, there's a need to have art. It definitely serves a function that connects us and soothes us. It's like that old saying that music that soothes the savage beast.
Yes.
It really has a magical quality of fulfilling a need, and it's just a privilege to be a part of the whole musical community. And that's the other thing here in LA. We just have so many greats, and there's John Clayton and Patitucci, and all this Ben Williams, young bass player I saw the other night with Taylor Eichste, and there's just we're all part of the same tribe.
Yeah.
And that unites us, and it's it can affect the whole world. I really think the Beatles. You think about what they did. The whole world was united in there. Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't just, music. This is a global connect on a visceral level that unites humanity. And it's a powerful tool that needs to be utilized when needed. And I think we need it.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I mean, I always say that this little series that I do makes me realize it's kind of a duh moment. It's like, of course. But what you just said, it's made me realize over this last few years that music is exactly what you said. I mean, we are responsible for connecting the planet, and it's been, I think it's been just taken for granted. I don't think it's been in the limelight as it has come into the limelight now, during this period. It's you know, I know for me, absolutely. I mean, sometimes if I find myself slipping down the slippery slope into craziness, music is always the thing that pulls me out, you know.
And I think we're listening to more music than ever with digitization. It is confusing at times because there's just so much out there.
Yeah.
And in some ways, you know, the jewels are lost in a massive pile under so much, you know, like that Billy Child's record. There's so many jewels out there that we miss. But more people than ever are listening to music more than ever and being influenced. And so it's, in some ways, it would be great to try to make a little more sense of it and to highlight what really deserves to be listened. And it used to happen in the old days with A&R people at record labels.
Yeah.
And they would say, well, you know, this project is not quite there yet, but, you know, we're going to sign, you know, the Beatles and James Taylor. And
they saw the future of it or something.
The reins were held by those who could see, had foresight, and they could keep the marketplace somewhat defined, so that, you know, to credit to the situation now, it's easier for anyone who wants to do a CD and share what they do to do it. But the downside is that you don't get to hear a lot of the jewels. So I wish there would be a way to organize it just a little better, so that and maybe that will happen. You know, maybe there'll be some sort of there are programs within Apple Music and Spotify that if you have a certain interest, you know, you have I've actually worked with a company. I invested in a company for a while that developed the algorithms to do that. That if you're interested in this one song, it will suggest and relay to you a whole, you know, group of other songs
stuff. Yeah.
But if there's a way to organize it just a little bit better, I think we can have that worldwide unity around great art that deserves to be heard.
Yeah. You know, this is kind of a real big, huge area. And again, my favorite word of the decade is exponential. You know, it's because it went from here, right? You know, from the first period that you were talking about with A&R people, which was a really pretty solid road that really gave us music that changed the planet. And then all of a sudden it started breaking out of that. And now with the digital age, it's like, it's so huge and open. And then what you're speaking of, you know, I mean, that is one of the narrowing channels, you know, that you can take advantage of. But that's a real interesting subject, I think, you know.
Well, there's a lot of irresponsibility too that goes on, and you know, that's the whole question at the moment with digital media. There's so much, you know, there's irresponsible, you know, statements, videos, you know, blogs, you know, lyrics that, you know, are either not true or that, you know, foment hostility.
Yeah.
So there used to be some policing of that, but it's but you want to maintain, you know, freedoms too. So it's a big subject, and I don't have the answers, but there was a golden period of sort of this global unity around great music and great you know, lyrics, and that could be coming again. You know, it's my hope. You know, great organizations like the United Nations that are able to cross, you know, to unite borders and, you know, deal with common issues. we could have the same thing with music, where we have some sort of international organization that's able to deal with these issues and irresponsibility and promote art that needs, that bears greater prevalence. And we could have that on a regular basis. These, the Beatles, All You Need Is Love, and Stevie Wonder's Superstition, and great messages that are in the titles of songs that can be heard and appreciated and can affect all of us. I mean, it's such a powerful tool, and it's been there. We've seen what it can do, how it can change and change the societies and the world and politics and war, and inspire so much. So you'd think at some point that would be a priority for a world organization to help promote.
You would think so.
Yeah.
And maybe it is. Maybe, like the Van Gogh thing, the immersive Van Gogh thing. Maybe it is. It's interesting because I was listening to Eckhart Tolle yesterday, and he, in his usual way, he always looks at all sides, which is why I actually like listening to him. He's not just all flowers and roses. He's like, humankind is really screwing up, and this is what we can do to, so that's why I like the whole looking at everything, right? But so he said that what he sees over the last year and a half is part of the world is basically losing it. They are one-sided and crazy. Just as an example, Afghanistan, that kind of, it's just crazy. And they're just, this is all they see. And then the other side is actually rising in consciousness. And so that's, I think about that actually a lot. I think about, as far as our future, our future is going to either be really, really weird, like a science fiction movie, much more than the last year and a half, or there will be people who are really working and changing things, and we will actually shift upwards, and so, it's just, and the music, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I never really talked to anyone about that, but I think that's a really cool idea, that the music actually could be like a leader.
Well, we've seen it. We've seen what All You Need Is Love and Imagine by John Lennon. We saw that those songs helped, with the Cultural Revolution in the 60s and 70s, and stop wars. And I mean, it really goes beyond any kind of government action, or when it's word of mouth and it's cultural and people want it, then it happens. And rather than separating cultures and societies, it unites cultures and societies cross borders to, for a common good and for change. So we've seen it happen, and it can happen again if we choose.
Yeah.
And as bad as complicated as life is now, it's so much. You look at what modern medicine has done. It's people are living longer, and we're treating. So it is as complicated as it is. In the last 100 years, 150 years, everything has changed. It's so much better. We're just living. We're just in a bubble here. We don't realize how good we've got it. And even as artists, we're able to create and do what we do, and have it a place for it to land up, on the net. and have people listen to it. And you weren't able to do that in the 60s and 70s. You had to, it cost a lot of money to go into the studio, and you had to convince record producers or distribution channels to allow your art to get out there. So, and radio stations, you had to, there was payola. You couldn't get things played for, unless you had lots of money. So it really is, we're living in a golden age, and I'm pretty confident that that there will be ways to work out our problems, and life is just getting better and better.
Very refreshing to talk to you, John. I have to say, I don't hear that from a lot of people. People are really just so, stuck in kind of the vision of that is being put out a lot, Well,
that's why I don't spend much time in social media. It's pretty dark, But yeah, we've got some big issues to deal with, and we're going to approach it with the same resources and ingenuity. I mean, I just love what's happening with companies like SpaceX and Tesla, and they're trying to solve the issues of global warming and the big existential questions. We've got 8 billion people in the world, and how do we feed them? If this population explosion continues. So we have the ability to solve these problems.
We
really
do. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I'm confident that our better instincts will lead us to those solutions. And it may take some scary things happening, that are happening at the moment, with storms and Arctic ice melting. But we may lose some real estate in Florida. But I think the human race will survive. Yeah. Boy, we didn't really mean to touch big subjects here, did we? But
well, it's just kind of a natural thing. But here, I have a little bit of this to show. You and Hubert. Yeah. When was this?
Oh yeah, this is from that group that we recorded. I'm not sure this is a great recording. It's just sort of a live recording, but it's that group, the Cosmos record that I played.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Where's Ricardo? He's not.
I think he's off to the left. I'm not sure how great this is.
Just a live.
Yeah, it's just part of the song. This is a Coltrane song, Notice.
It's what?
It's a Coltrane song, Moment's Notice.
Oh, okay.
And
I'm jumping ahead so we hear you too.
Yeah, it's just part of this is when I go on when I tour with Hubert. This is what we often play. We play that song, but this group, Ricardo's over on the left side, and this is in probably Sao Paulo or Brasilia or Rio. There he is.
Yeah, it's kind of lost in translation, but this just reminds me, another question that I would like to ask you, because I like asking musicians questions. What do you think the role of the bass player is?
Well, I was attracted to the bass. I first started playing bass when I had a band, and I was, playing guitar and organ, and but I was a singer. And we needed a bass player, so I started playing the bass. But when I heard Miles Davis and Coltrane, I just loved the way that the instrument looked, and it was great not to be in the front man, because it is a big cross to carry, and you're at the center of the rhythm and the harmony. So you're uniting the two. In a way, the bass player is the one that unites the group.
Yeah.
Which is so often they make great producers.
Yeah.
You think, Paul McCartney. You think, Larry Klein.
Yeah.
Who produced this? A lot of great bass players. A lot of great producers were actually bass players, and then the other issue is it was an instrument that's so in transition. You look at Jaco Pastorius and you look at Paul Chambers, who with those early Miles, was playing bowing solos, and the way that he played bass lines, it was almost like a trombone. He accentuate a 13 chord, in a certain way. So he had a great sense of harmony. But Slam Stewart, another Arco person, all that whole evolution of bass playing led up to Stanley Clarke, in the 70s with Return to Forever, and who I just loved, and Miroslav Vitus and Weather Report.
Yeah.
So you have the interesting thing is it's an instrument that's changing its role, and it's opening up all these different avenues. And to be part of that, as a bass player in the 70s, which is when I started playing bass. I was playing nightclub gigs when I was 16, and in 1971. So, and playing jazz, and you're part of that whole new era of a new possibility with the instrument. Whereas, all the, singers, sax players, trumpet, piano, guitar, they're doing kind of the same, they have the same functions, the same, but the bass has a whole new possibility. So to be part of that was just a really exciting thing, and still is, that you have the possibilities opening up for new roles for an instrument.
Yeah.
And that's what's so exciting about the bass, is that it's in transition.
Yeah.
And Jaco Pastorius is, I play a lot of electric bass too, and it's just a very, it's like a trombone in some ways, it's like a cello in some ways. He writes around it. So, the song that you heard earlier, it's the basses and the melody, the melodies and the bass. So it's something that's new. It's a new movement, and it's great to be part of that new movement.
That's great.
Yeah. But if I wasn't a bass player, I would be, I'm also a piano player. I can sit down and play enough piano sort of badly, but I can play, for an hour, and I play standards, and guitar, I can kind of do the same thing. I can, so if I wasn't the bass player, I would be, I'd be the same thing. I'd be an arranger, and I'd be playing the piano probably, or be singing. In some ways, it's all the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I told you, but I'm producing Pierre Chambers' first solo record. He's the son of Paul Chambers.
Oh, really? And does he play bass?
He's a singer.
Oh,
and
I'd like to meet.
Yeah, he's not only a very cool guy, but he has an innate sense of jazz. You know, I mean,
Doesn't surprise me.
yeah, and it's really, yeah, it's really cool. When I heard him sing, I was like, oh, yeah, he really needs to have a really, you know, supportive, nice record. You know, so yeah, we're doing it with Matt Gordy and Karen Hammock and Henry Franklin.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
The
I wanted to
skipper.
bring Henry in, yeah, because you know, it seemed logical to connect, you know,
Yes.
time wise.
Historic characters.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah.
No, Paul Chambers was, super influential to Ron Carter. Ron Carter's still my favorite for time playing, but it's, or one of my favorites. I mean, I still love those Paul Chambers. I mean, Kind of Blue, Paul Chambers. I mean, so
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. That's just it was a revolution to all of us to hear. You hear that record the first time and you go, wow. I don't know what's going on there, for a first time. What is this? This is just right.
Yeah.
And Paul Chambers is a big part of that.
Well, yeah, now that I asked that last question, I can see that in your playing, because you're not just a quarter note guy. Your playing is active and melodic, but still you're giving the time and the solidness of the root of the chord. So, but it's very enjoyable for me, especially, to sing with somebody like that, who's not just boom, 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 but actually an active player. Speaking of that, this week, Thursday night, John and I are playing a gig in Los Angeles at the Conference Room, which is over in Playa Vista. And it's really fun. We have a set of me and then jam session, and there are people who are coming out and jamming, and David Arnay on piano, John on bass, and this week we have Chris Blondal on drums. And so it's beautiful. It's an outdoor patio. The food is really good. The owner's great, so the staff is great too, and parking's easy. But if you want to come, you should go on my site and check out the website and the parking, because the first time you go there, the parking can be a little elusive. But we have fun. We have a great time. And it's just great to sing with John, so.
That second set is often really charming, because people, the last one we did, there was a woman got up and she sang a Mexican song, and it was
that was sure, that was Nora.
So it was just adorable, and then someone gets up and does a spiritual, and it's just a great mix of all that culture coming together, and it just makes it fun.
Yeah That's John Leftwich, ladies and gentlemen. John, thank you so much for spending 2 hours. It was really generous of you.
Yeah, where did the time go?
Did you finish your project, by the way?
No, I'm it's a series of demos. So one of them got finished, and then so I'm actually going to do some revisions and send another version this afternoon, and I'll hear it tomorrow.
Well, I hope you get a little sleep. At least eat well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll see you day after tomorrow at our gig.
Yeah. And thank you. And I'll say goodbye to you. You can hang up, and then I'm just going to tell people who's on next.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks,
Cathy.
John. Love you.
Hi. Love you too. Bye.
Bye. So that is my dear friend, John Leftwich. He's so awesome. Let's see. Tomorrow is another person. Like last week, we had this with Nick Anderson, but John, you can push end on your end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. unless you want to listen, which you probably don't want to listen. But anyway, so this week, Mark Christian Miller is a pianist. I'm sorry, well, he is a pianist, but mostly singer. He's an artist. He's also a booking person. And so he, but he works during the period of time that the show is on. So tonight we're going to do a hang on my Facebook page and YouTube page here, and you're totally welcome to come. It starts at 7 to 9, but I will be posting it tomorrow. So it will be pre-recorded. I'm not calling it archived. I'm calling it pre-recorded. But Mark is a beautiful singer and a really great person, very, very smart. And Thursday through Sunday, I do post archives. So Thursday will be the great sax player, Harry Allen. He's really a great player, and he's a very good writer too. Friday, a raconteur, drummer, Paul Kreibich, who played with Ray Charles for a long time. And so that's Friday. And Saturday, a great singer who I had been introduced to last year from Chicago, Sharon Clark. And Sunday, really honored to have Mark Isham on. Mark Isham is one of the most prolific music scorers, you know, for film, and he's got a very wonderful career, and he's a trumpet player. I think he was possibly the first one to play iwi or bring it out of, you know, kind of hibernation. And so anyway, that's happening. And then next week, I'll tell you the live people. Jerry Watts, bass player and teacher, on Monday. Tuesday, Wayne Peet, who's a pianist, more in the modern jazz, like abstract modern jazz area, but he's also a really great engineer. He has a private studio here in LA, and he also is kind of sought after for his live recording, like Kenny Burrell, his big band. He wouldn't use anyone except Wayne to record it. And Wayne also recorded my live from the Blue Whale with my group, The Moment. And I was amazed that he accomplished what he accomplished with that. He could mix me, you know, separately. I mean, it was great. So that's Wayne Peet. And then Wednesday, Laurie Mechem, who is responsible for creating the Nashville Jazz Workshop. And it's been going for a long time, she and her partner, Roger Spencer. And so I'm really looking forward to speaking with her, and that's on Wednesday. Anytime you want to see who's coming up, just go on my website. You can see about a month ahead. And you can also find the link to my archives, which I I have in my Dropbox. And you can see anybody from Diane Reeves, John Clayton, lesser known people, everybody who I've had on. Actually, today John was number 324. So you can see all of those, and pretty fascinating. I'm just finishing writing a book that I've been working on for about 15 years. And after I finish that, I'm going to go through all of my shows and write down my aha moments from each person. I'm really looking forward to doing that. And these books will be self-published. They'll be on my website and maybe out on a few social media platforms. I've found over the years that the things that intrigue me are not necessarily the big commercial ideas. My ideas develop into commercial things, but I don't usually start there. For instance, the last time I kind of ran a real series was at Bar Fedora downtown, across from Disney Hall, in a restaurant called Olak. And there was a beautiful, beautiful room in the back it was like a small club. And I did that for 2.5 years. And so when I started, it just was kind of the perfect storm, and I wanted to do something like that. I always want to do something like that you can share with everybody, and it benefits a lot of people. So that's usually where I'm coming from. On the way out, I think I'll do another song from Straight Ahead to the UK, which is the record that I did with John that I spoke so highly about. And let's see, can I do Hippolytville? Or Hippolytville is great, but I might start on Hippolytville is a song that was written by John Abercrombie. And this is the song that I invited Norma Winstone to sing on in England. And I wrote lyrics to this song when I was in college. And I sound a lot alike, but we're sharing this.
I see him walk.
That's her.
I hear
That's
him
me.
What he says.
And our scatting also has similarities as well.
The way he moves and what he do. It's all in here. It's very clear. I see him. I hear him. What do you know? I'm hip on the go. I'm smart, I'm cool. Walk hip, talk smooth. Know who you are. Act smart, go far. What's now coming down? Look out all around. You're smart. Play the part. Going on down to Hippolytville. It's the place you act smart, walk smooth, talk hip, play the cool. Gonna find a state of mind. Nice thoughts, cool tunes, hip chicks, smart dudes, slow talk, smooth moves. Going on down to Hippolytville. When you go, you'll look round, slow down, hang out round town. Once you find your way, you're home, home free like me.
Thanks for being here today, and really appreciate it. So I'll see you either tonight or tomorrow. Tonight, 7 to 9, going to do my guest for tomorrow, Mark Christian Miller, and then I'll be posting tomorrow. Have a great day, y'all. Goodbye.